It starts small. A sound, a shadow, a whisper of paper on the floor. A crisp white envelope appears under your door, silent and unsettling. No knock, no footsteps, just an invitation that shouldn't exist. The envelope is heavy, expensive, but blank. No return address, no stamp, just your name in perfect script. Inside, a single card, 3 words: you are expected, plus a time and place. No explanation, no RSVP, no host. It feels less like an invitation, more like a summons. Questions pile up. Who sent this? Why you? Is it a game, a threat, or something else? You want to throw it away, but you can't. Curiosity digs in, impossible to ignore. The invitation is a hook, baited with mystery, and it's already under your skin. It wasn't just you. The envelopes appeared everywhere, across cities, states, the world. Social media exploded. You're expected, trended. Photos of identical invitations flooded the internet. No pattern, mansions, apartments, young, old, anyone could be next. The randomness was terrifying. News vans staked out addresses. Online detectives found nothing. The invitation became a global character, a silent antagonist. The world watched, breath held, waiting for someone to answer the call. The date and time loomed, a collective deadline for the unknown. Who would be brave or foolish enough to show up? What do? Go or stay home? Every instinct screams danger, but curiosity is relentless. What if it's an opportunity? What if ignoring it means missing out? The debate rages, caution versus curiosity. For many, the phenomenon made the choice for them. It was now a public event. To go was to join a story bigger than yourself. Safety in numbers, or so you hope. As the hour approached, people moved, clutching invitations, drawn by fear and excitement. They headed to empty buildings, deserted warehouses, suburban halls. They were going to find out who was expecting them. The rest of us could only watch and wait. Before the world watched, there were the first. Sarah, a graphic designer, found her envelope. Formal, chilling, impossible to ignore. Ben, a retired professor, saw a puzzle to solve, not a threat. Maria and Leo, struggling artists, saw hope and fear in equal measure. Each believed their experience was unique. Unaware hundreds shared the same fate. They were the first wave, chosen for reasons unknown, standing at a crossroads. The silence from the sender was deafening. The clock was ticking. The recipients were a mosaic, no pattern, no logic. High schoolers, single parents, truckers, each found an invitation in a different place. The randomness suggested immense reach and planning. No one could profile the sender. It was chaos by design. Reactions varied. Some saw a game, others a threat, some just wanted it gone. Many embraced the viral fame, others felt burdened. Police could do little, there was no crime, just a question. Even those who tried to forget couldn't shake the feeling. The invitation consumed everyone it touched. What if ignoring it meant missing destiny? As the day neared, a new fear emerged, a sense of being watched. Sarah noticed a strange Wi-Fi network. Ben saw a glint from a smoke detector. Recipients reported glitches, smart speakers activating, webcams flashing on. It wasn't just paranoia, the pattern was real. Surveillance had started long before the invitation arrived. The sender was already inside their lives, watching, listening. The invitation was a new chapter in a story written without their knowledge. The power dynamic shifted. They weren't guests, but subjects. For many, the only choice was to confront the threat head-on. The invitation was now a challenge. The only way out was through. The day arrived, a date circled on calendars. As dusk began to fall, a strange pilgrimage unfolded. They were all heading to designated coordinates: a disused library wing, a rented community hall, an empty storefront. Outside a former dance studio, the first arrivals gathered, hesitant. They were strangers, yet they shared a secret. They all carried the same card. You are expected. Slowly they began to cross the street. One person pushed open the main door. They were about to step into the heart of the mystery. At the top of the stairs was a single, unmarked door. They had to open the door. The door opened silently, revealing a vast, empty room. Polished floors reflected cold light. The walls were bare and the windows blacked out. It felt like a laboratory, scrubbed clean of life. In the center, a single table with a place setting for one. A dozen people stared, realizing the invitation was not a shared experience. In the corner, a professional camera with a red light recording. They were not guests, but subjects in a show they hadn't auditioned for. It was a trap, a performance, and they were brought here to do what? Who would go first? That was the silent question that hung in the air. Who would step out of the safety of the group to approach the lonely table? Then Sarah stepped forward. She took a breath, squared her shoulders and started walking. All eyes were on her. She was the first to accept the silent challenge. She reached the table and stopped. No note, no message. She folded her hands on the table, her posture rigid. Back at the doorway, the door began to swing shut. It closed with a soft, final click. The lock turned. They were trapped. The game had changed. It was a capture. The silent host had made their move. As people started disappearing, the mystery shifted from a viral curiosity to a potential crime scene. Dozens of potential crime scenes scattered across the country flooded police departments with bizarre stories. People vanished after going to the address on the strange invitation. They walked into buildings and never walked out. The thin blue line was faced with a phenomenon that had no precedent. Police forces started to compare notes, and a terrifying pattern began to emerge. This was organized, sophisticated, and happening right now. Inside the locations, there was nothing. The rooms were empty and sterile. The police were chasing shadows as the perpetrators had constructed a perfect crime. With traditional forensics yielding nothing, investigators turned their focus to the victims, the people who had walked into those rooms and disappeared. There had to be a link, a common denominator that explained why these specific individuals were chosen out of millions. Task forces were formed, bringing together federal agents and local detectives. They built a massive database, inputting every scrap of information they could find about the recipients, their jobs, their hobbies, their financial records, their online histories. They were searching for the invisible thread that tied all of these seemingly random people together. A needle in a haystack the size of a country. At first, the data was just noise. A graphic designer from the suburbs, a retired professor from the city, a young couple, a high school student. On the surface, they had nothing in common. They lived in different states, belonged to different age groups, and came from different economic backgrounds. The randomness seemed to be the only pattern, but detectives are trained to look deeper, to find the patterns hidden within the chaos. They started cross-referencing everything. Did they all use the same bank? Did they shop at the same online stores? Did they ever, even for a moment, occupy the same physical or digital space? The work was painstaking, tedious, and for weeks fruitless. Then, a junior analyst working late into the night found something. It was small, almost insignificant. A handful of the recipients had all visited the same obscure website. It was a forum dedicated to unsolved historical ciphers and complex puzzle solving. There was a digital dead end, the site long since defunct, but it was a lead. They pulled on that thread and they found another one. A dozen of the missing had all purchased the same brand of specialty coffee online. 24 had subscribed to a niche philosophy podcast. The connections were bizarre, tenuous, and seemed to lead nowhere, but they were connections. The random victims were not so random after all. They were part of a hidden demographic, a group of people linked by subtle consumer choices and intellectual curiosities. Someone had been data mining on an incredible scale, building a specific profile of a certain kind of person, a person who was curious, a person who was a problem solver, a person who would be unable to resist the pull of an unsolved mystery. The host wasn't choosing people at random, they were handpicking their audience. And that made the entire affair infinitely more terrifying. As news of the disappearances broke, the mood changed. The viral mystery curdled into something dark and real. The fun was over. This wasn't a game. People were missing. Fear took hold. Hashtags overflowed with panic. It was about a silent predator who could pluck people out of their lives. The nation held its breath, and paranoia began to set in. People stayed home more, double-checked their locks. The host had taken entire cities hostage with fear. The media frenzy reached a fever pitch. News channels ran 24-hour coverage, interviewing terrified family members. The invitations became artifacts of terror. They had made an entire population feel unsafe in their own homes. In the shadow of a great mystery, smaller, uglier things began to grow. As the nation was gripped by fear, a new wave of incidents began. The copycats. Pranksters and criminals saw an opportunity in the widespread panic. They began sending their own versions of the invitation, sometimes as a cruel joke, other times for more nefarious purposes. In the heightened state of alert, they caused real terror. Police resources, already stretched thin, were now diverted to chase down these malicious mimics. More disturbing were the criminals who used the invitation's template for their own ends. This new wave of fake invitations created chaos for the official investigation. It became nearly impossible to distinguish between a genuine threat and a low-level copycat crime. The clear, terrifying signal of the original host was now lost in a sea of static and noise created by these imitators. It was a perfect storm of confusion. So 8 weeks turned into a month. The trail had gone cold. But then Sarah reappeared. She was found wandering in a daze with no memory of the past 4 weeks. Her return was a bombshell, a ghost who had come back. She remembered walking into that stark white room, but the moment she sat in that chair, her memory cut to black. The only clue she offered was a feeling of having been studied. The purpose of the invitation was not to harm, but to analyze, a living testament to the terrifying power of the unseen host. Sarah's reappearance opened a new digital forensics avenue. They analyzed her phone, laptop, and cloud backups, searching for a digital echo. They found a breadcrumb, a single anomalous data packet from a surveillance camera. It showed a figure in a cleanroom suit approaching a seated person with a glowing device. This was the first visual confirmation of what happened, revealing a methodical and terrifying process far beyond a simple kidnapping. The 3 seconds of footage were a breakthrough, but they were also a dead end. The cleanroom suit was anonymous, the device was unidentifiable, the location was sterile. The investigators had a picture of what happened, but they were no closer to understanding who was behind it or why. The public release of the footage only amplified the global panic. The image of the white-suited figure became an icon of modern terror, a faceless boogeyman for the digital age. The investigation seemed to have hit another wall, but the host, it seemed, was not done with them yet. One night, every single television screen that was broadcasting a news report on the case suddenly went black. On every channel, on every network, all at the same time. For a moment there was just silence. Then a single sentence appeared on the screen, typed in the same clean font as the original invitations. The test is incomplete. The message stayed on the screen for exactly 10 seconds, and then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it was gone. The normal broadcast resumed as if nothing had happened. But millions of people had seen it. It was a direct communication, a message from the void. The message sent shockwaves through the investigation and the world. It was an act of breathtaking arrogance and power. To hijack every major news network simultaneously required a level of hacking skill that was almost unimaginable. It was a display of force, a reminder of just how far their reach extended. But it was also a clue. The test is incomplete. It confirmed the experiment theory. It implied a purpose, a goal that had not yet been met, and it suggested that this was not over. There would be more invitations. There would be more tests. The silent host was not finished with their work. And so, the world was left to wait. The authorities were powerless, the public terrified. The message was a promise and a threat. It told the families of the missing that their loved ones were part of an ongoing process. It told everyone else that the selection was not over. Anyone could still be chosen. The mystery had evolved from a strange invitation to a terrifying abduction, and now to a direct dialogue with a faceless, all-powerful entity. The question was no longer just who sent the invitation, but what kind of answer were they looking for? And what would happen when their test was finally complete? And so the story ends where it began, with a question. The invitation stopped, the abduction ceased, and the missing persons were returned, their memories wiped clean, leaving only the feeling of having been studied. The great, terrifying machine had simply stopped. The immediate danger had passed, but the mystery remained. The investigation officially went cold, leaving behind a trail of traumatized victims and unanswered questions. In the absence of facts, theories rushed in to fill the void. Every theory is a reflection of our own deepest fears. They live in an echo chamber of their own experience, forever haunted by the ghost of a memory. The invitation mystery rewired our society. We now live in a world that is a little more suspicious, a little more paranoid. An unexpected package, an anonymous email, a friendly stranger, all viewed with caution. It exposed the fragility of our security, revealing how easily systems can be circumvented. The phenomenon altered our relationship with technology. Culturally, the mystery became a modern myth, a campfire story. It eroded randomness. There are only patterns we don't yet understand. The world feels smaller, more observed. So, we are left where we started, in the dark. The greatest mystery of the 21st century remains unsolved, and perhaps unsolvable. The entity behind the invitations achieved something remarkable. They spoke to the entire world without ever revealing their name, their face, or their motive. They executed a plan of impossible complexity with flawless precision and then vanished completely, leaving us to grapple with the meaning of it all. Were they benevolent in their own strange way, returning their subjects unharmed, or was the psychological trauma they inflicted the entire point of the exercise? We simply do not know. The core of the mystery, the central, nagging question, is why. What was the purpose of the test? If it was to study curiosity, fear, and compliance, what were the results? If it was to gather information, what were they looking for? The message, the test is incomplete, hangs over everything, suggesting a larger purpose that we have not yet seen. It implies that this was just a preliminary stage, a pilot program for something bigger to come. The silence that followed is not necessarily an ending, but perhaps just a pause, a long, unnerving intermission before the next act begins. And what about you? As you listen to this story, perhaps you see a little of yourself in the recipients, the curiosity that would make you open the envelope, the analytical mind that would try to solve the puzzle, the quiet desire for something extraordinary to break the monotony of daily life. Would you have gone? It's a question we have all asked ourselves. It is the question that made this mystery so compelling. It was never just about them, it was about us. It was a test for the people who were chosen, but it was also a test for all of us who watched. And so we wait. We watch our front doors. We eye our technology with a hint of distrust. We look up at the sky and wonder. The story of the invitation with no host serves as a chilling, permanent reminder. A reminder that we may not be alone. A reminder that we are always being watched. And a reminder that on any given day, a crisp, white envelope could appear at your door. It could have your name on it. And you too might be expected. The question is, what would you do?